Welcome to Don't Feed the Geeks, presented by the Long Island Comic Guys, the masters of the geeky verse.
Okay.
You guys like that one? Why are we laughing? I don't understand.
He said that last week too.
Did he say that last
Yeah,
week?
He did. That's our new thing.
Okay,
I'm
all right.
looping it in. We're the masters of the geeky verse. I stole a little bit from He-Man.
It's all right.
All right, so we have a lot to talk about today. Awesome interview with indie artist Chris Campana. He's going to tell us about himself, some projects he's working on that we're really excited about. We're going to get some current news and a few ending segments, key hunts, pick of the week, and we'll see if we have any announcements.
Yeah.
We don't even know yet. We'll find out at the end.
You right there, Jim?
I'm all right. Stupid cough. I apologize.
Jim's had a cough for about 6 years
all
now.
right.
One day he'll go to the doctor.
One day.
All right. So, Mr. Toy Story, do you want to get it? Oh, I guess, you know what we've been really bad at? So this is TC. Along
I am
with
Toy Story.
Toy Story and
JJ.
JJ.
Yeah.
Woo!
So we're going to be doing the current news and
Yes.
the ending segments. We had a pre-recorded interview with Chris Campana where we had the whole crew here.
Which was an awesome interview.
Very great interview. We'll talk more about that later on after the interview plays. But Mr. Toy Story is going to go into some current news right now.
Let's do it. We got a bunch. All right, so the first thing. DC Universe has announced that it has canceled its latest live-action TV series, Swamp Thing,
Yeah, boo on that.
Yeah.
just after the show's first episode premiered only 2 weeks ago, with no explanation despite critical and fan acclaim. It's the first of DC Universe's original shows to get the axe, and it was confirmed only the night before the second episode was released. While many rumors have circulated as to the reasoning, the only confirmed insider information so far comes from a DC Universe official who took to the message boards to answer questions. And to the question of why it was canceled, he responded, "We are not in a position to answer at this time. Nothing else." He did reaffirm that DC Universe will continue creating and releasing new shows and content, which kind of shuts down what everybody thought was going to happen, was that DC Universe was going to kind of, fold into that new Warner Brothers thing.
I don't know if I believe anything they're saying at this point, though.
Well, they're not saying much. That's the thing.
I think you have to kind of take that with a grain of salt. I know as soon as they announced that they weren't picking it back up, HBO and the CW jumped at the opportunity to possibly have that show.
Really?
CW definitely wouldn't work. I hope that doesn't happen. I'll be honest, I probably won't watch if it goes to CW. HBO would be a great place for it.
Because then they don't have to PG it.
Yeah, no, it definitely needs to be, PG-13, bordering on like R level.
Well, they were F-bombing on that show.
Yeah,
weren't
they were, and they can't change it from the format they got now. Because
Yeah.
I mean, look at Doom Patrol. I mean, they've had
Oh yeah,
the scenes in that. I mean, the curse scene and everything else. I mean, that's what made those shows great and much better than what they would be on if they were on the CW.
So Doom
absolutely.
Patrol is explicit too? Because I haven't watched Doom
God,
Patrol.
yeah.
Oh yeah, very much
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
It's probably the most explicit one out of all of them, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, Brandon Fraser just drops bombs all day long on that. Plus the very first episode, which we won't go into.
Yeah. Did you guys watch the second episode? Something?
I watched the second
Yeah.
episode.
I didn't
haven't
get to
watched
yet.
the third.
I haven't watched the third yet either.
It's good though. It's
Fantastic.
It's a really good show.
I can't fathom them canceling this because of how good it
could have been
is.
clueless higher ups that
Well, wasn't the other rumors also related to some tax break that they
that was shut down
were
by the
supposed to get?
state of
Was it
yeah.
They said
A rep. I think it was North Carolina.
North Carolina?
Yeah, a rep from the office down there said that that's not true. So,
Jeez.
Jim, we call 911 for you?
No, I'm probably. I had to mute myself so I wouldn't go right into the mic.
All right, next
But-
up.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
You
Go
good?
for it. But that's just it's. I'm annoyed that it's
I know.
canceled.
The first episode I loved. I was like, I
it-
can't
it's-
wait for this.
I don't understand. I don't understand. They can make money off of this.
Yeah.
They can. I mean,
And the thing that makes me mad is it's the one I was most excited for.
Yeah.
and it's the best one.
Yeah.
Besides Titans, I wasn't a fan of Doom Patrol, but this is fantastic. I mean, how
Could be
dark
better than
it is,
Titans. We don't know.
the people that are in it,
Yeah.
the storyline, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it's just it annoys the
Just the first 2 episodes, I'll be honest, I think I like it more than Titans.
Yeah.
absolutely.
One of the producers, I don't know if he was a showrunner, but he went on Twitter. I think it was deleted since, but he was like, I have no idea why this happened.
I think it was a shock
No
to
idea.
the whole entire
Yeah.
cast. I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Not at all. Like, at least give a reason.
Yeah, annoying.
All right, next up. The notoriously outspoken Rob Liefeld, best known for creating Deadpool and Cable, recently made some slanderous comments regarding the future of DC Comics, predicting that they are, quote, going to drive off a cliff here real soon. In a trail of since-deleted tweets, Liefeld affirmed that he believes the only saving grace for DC is Batman, indicating his successful sales are what keeps the company afloat and nothing else. Writer Mark Millar tweeted back at him saying that he thinks present-day DC has its best lineup since the 80s, with Rob responding that he must be reading his DC Best of the 80s collection again, and that they should fire everybody in management and refresh. And that's a quote.
Where do we even start with this guy? In fact, I don't even want to mention this guy on our show because he's an idiot. We're talking about Rob, not anybody else. Yeah. This guy just needs to be shut down and just go away. Right?
I won't disagree with you in the least.
You posted about this, right?
Yeah, I kind of do a lot of the posts on an Instagram account, and I felt very compelled to respond to his comments. I was like, listen, we know that DC is struggling right now. They're not putting out like the content the Marvel is. Honestly, DC books much better than Marvel. So
yeah,
clearly Rob's not reading any books. But they're just not doing the live action stuff as well, and they need to get their footing ground. Realistically, they probably need to shake up at that level for whoever's doing television and movie stuff. But
I don't know what he was referring to.
You know what I really think this is? He probably wanted money from them to do something. They said no, and he decided to go out there and slam them. And this sounds like regular Rob Liefeld. Like I said, it's like anyone I've met that has met Rob Liefeld in person doesn't have a positive thing to say about him. And this is across the board.
Have you met him?
Yes.
Yes.
And he was
You met him too?
Yes.
And he was kind of a jerk. And he's a money hungry guy. He shows up to appearances like half an hour to 45 minutes late. He gets there. So what happened to me was I was waiting for him, and excuse me, I didn't know anything about him. I had a New Mutants 98 and a first appearance of Cable. I was like, all right, whatever. I was like, I want to get these books signed. He gets there again, 45 minutes late. I was the first one there. I was waiting for like 2 hours. I was like, oh, this is crazy. But like I couldn't get off because by the time like he was supposed to be there was 100 people waiting. I was like, oh my gosh. So I waited. He comes there. He's like, sorry, I'm late, guys. Hey, I was like, and then some other guy comes, some type of dealer, with like a stack of 100 books. He goes, oh, sorry, I just got to do this guy first. I was like, are you kidding me? He goes, yeah, he already paid. I was like, I don't care, man. I was like, this is ridiculous. There's 100 people waiting for you. He goes, sorry, I got to do it. And then he does that. So he finishes, like, he does it. It takes him like 10, 15 minutes to do it. So on top of the 45 minutes late.
Oh, my God.
And on top of that, so I was like, hey, so do you think you maybe can just put like a quick Deadpool head in there for me since I was the first person in line and waiting? You go, no, man, can't do it. I was like, all right, cool. And then I see he's like, and then it's like $150. I was like, what?
Wait, for a signature?
Because the books I had, it was like 70, it was like $50. I think it's even more now. I think he charges $80 to $100
what?
to get New Mutants. At the time, it was like $50 a piece. It was $50, I think, to sign New Mutants 98, and $40. It was $90. I was exaggerating a little bit, and $40 to sign
for an autograph.
The Cable, yeah.
My God.
I was like, okay, cool. I was like, and you know what? I had such a bad taste in my mouth afterward. I just sold those books.
You did.
I was like, I don't even want these anymore.
Oh my God.
But yeah,
if I was a publishing company and I heard the way he talks, even about DC, who's either number 1 or 2, and
even if you're not the company he's talking about, like I wouldn't want anything to do with him.
Right, because if you make anything wrong, if you do anything wrong to piss him off, he's just gonna talk bad about.
It's not worth the risk for these guys.
He's talking crap about DC, who's number 1 or number 2.
And by the way, he was basically bullied off of Twitter, so now he exclusively uses IG.
Really?
Well, now we need to bully him off of IG.
Well, that's why all those
honest with
tweets are deleted.
He just needs to just go away.
Yeah, everyone's like, oh, I haven't gotten blocked by Rob Liefeld yet.
Yeah. his artist crap.
Oh, he's one of those people that blocks all his followers.
Yes,
Oh, God.
yes. As soon as you say something bad about him, or
I tagged him in that post in that story yet. I wanted to see, but he hasn't blocked us yet because I can still see
Keep
his
checking.
account. Yeah.
yeah, great.
Awesome.
I can't wait to be
All
blocked.
right.
All right.
Want to be
Don't
blocked
talk
by him.
about
Moving
it
on.
anymore.
Yeah, done. Go away, Rob.
The creators of the legendary Thor God of Thunder series will return for a 4-issue miniseries in September called King Thor. Jason Aaron and Esad Ribic will bring us a story focusing on Thor of the far future, who was first introduced in God of Thunder 7 years ago. The series will serve as a conclusion to Aaron's acclaimed run on the character.
Was God of Thunder 7 years ago?
Yes, it was. I had to check that.
I've been
I didn't read that
reading
one.
comic books for that long. Jeez.
No, didn't read that one.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't?
No.
Oh, it's so good.
Very good.
It was one of the first comics I actually read.
Damn.
One of the first series.
Really?
Yeah. Have you guys been reading his runs, his Thor run in
What
between?
is he doing more of the worlds? Is he kind of the head writer on that?
I think he is, but he's also done like the other Thor series since then.
I've read here and there. I'm so bad with current right now. I haven't read a full Thor series probably since that one. When that one ended, they basically went into Jane Foster Thor.
Yeah.
And it wasn't bad.
He
but
did that too,
I
I
just
think.
lost interest.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right, next up. Upcoming video game Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 The Black Order, the first game in the series since 2009, will be taking full advantage of the Disney-Fox merger by including the Fantastic Four in the game.
Well, I heard that's an expansion pack. The X-Men and
it's
Fantastic
DLC.
Four. Yeah.
Yeah. Marvel's first superhero team, along with the X-Men, have been absent from Marvel licensed games for many years due to the similar licensing restrictions that have kept them out of the MCU. The game is an action role-playing hack and slash and will release exclusively on the Nintendo Switch on July 19th.
That's super disappointing to me because I'm not buying any more video game systems. I thought it was going to be released on PlayStation.
So it's only on the Switch?
Only on Switch.
I come to my house. I
Yeah.
have it
You guys
upstairs.
have one, right?
Yeah.
That's a game I need to deep dive into. Like
Yeah.
I loved playing the first two games. They were awesome.
I realize it's been since 2009
That
since
actually
the
got
last
me.
one.
That game specifically, those two kind of got me really back into the superhero stuff because they had like these like questions you would have to answer. Like you'd get like bonus or unlock more stuff if you would like answer some type of like trivia question. I was like, this is awesome. I was like, my cousin wound up having like this Marvel encyclopedia, and we were like going through it for the answers so we could unlock.
So you said it was only exclusive on the Switch?
Yeah.
The game is only
So
on Switch.
no.
Yeah.
Why? Again, that's another.
And this was announced at the E3. Right?
Yeah, E3 this
Yeah.
week.
I,
Yeah.
Another quick thing that I saw from the E3, I think all of us are kind of excited about, is Arcade 1UP. That's the name of
Oh,
it?
yeah.
Yep.
They're releasing a TMNT box, which includes the original TMNT arcade and the Turtles in Time,
right?
which I'm like, I'm definitely getting that. And they're releasing a Marvel one, which I think there's a Marvel. I very vaguely remember this game where it was like kind of an Avengers thing. It was like an Avengers
It's an arcade
game. and
game,
I think
though?
that's what
Yeah.
it is, yeah. And then the X-Men game, which was phenomenal. I mean, it was equally as good as the original Ninja Turtle game. And then a Punisher game, which I don't recall ever playing, but I think it's kind of similar style to those games where you kind of like go along the screen and like, attack.
That's awesome.
And then, of course, Star Wars.
The Star Wars one looks
Yeah.
insane.
Very excited
Oh
about
my
that.
God.
So we got Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi.
And that's the first one that they have where it's kind of like that.
The flight controls.
Yep.
Flight control, yeah. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
I'm 100% getting that. I think it's going to be a little more. I think it's 350 instead of
Yeah,
300.
they said it was going to be right below
But
500. Is
fine.
what I heard.
Mm,
But I
that's
don't care.
That's
It's
fine.
Yeah, I'm going to be passing along my Street Fighter one
Yeah.
and getting.
I've held out
the
so
other-
far.
the
I
other
haven't
two.
bought any.
They're cool.
Yeah.
When I get the other two, I'm going to have to get
Because
them.
I knew they were going to come out with more. I was waiting for one that I really wanted.
You can pick them up at Walmart
Yeah.
for like $75 now.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, the older ones.
the older
Yeah.
ones.
So
Yeah.
is the Star Wars one going to be on sale?
No, not for probably a long
No.
time,
No.
and I don't think you'll ever see that on sale.
Yeah. I feel like that's going to be a really...
The reason why I think that's a lot because they got to pay the licenses on that.
Yeah,
and
that's
some
true.
huge licensing fees.
Well, they're doing a lot. Lucasfilm's like kind of a lot, really open right now. Like, I don't know if you heard, they're doing re-releases of all the old games.
They are, yes.
On physical format.
Yep.
So like Star Wars Bounty Hunter is
Mhm.
coming out on PS4.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. That's
Which is
awesome.
very exciting.
Are they upgrading like the graphics and stuff?
No, I
on
think
it?
it's just straight re-releases,
Just like
but on
another-
modern systems.
And what they need to do is release that 1313 game.
Yeah, I don't know if that's ever gonna happen.
People are still talking about it to this day.
No.
Anyway.
Any other E3 news
Oh
you guys
yeah,
hear about?
Star Wars also. So my personal choice for the best Star Wars game is getting a new release. Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga releases in 2020 and aims to totally revitalize the series. The Star Wars Underworld reports that the game will not feature content from previous Lego Star Wars games and is a completely new game built from the ground up. Players will be able to play through all 9 films in any order and freely visit all the planets from the entire saga in a massive open world environment. There will also be over 200 playable characters in the game, all of which will be fully voiced. The first LEGO Star Wars game released in 2005 and featured levels from episodes 1, 2, and 3 and served as a blueprint for all future LEGO games to come.
That's exciting.
I am so excited.
It's
Are
going to be all in one game.
Yep, all 9.
I used to play those with my little brother.
Yeah.
I feel like it almost gets to the point where it's not fun because they're too easy.
And it's repetitive.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what I think they're trying to do with
They're
this. Like
trying to,
complete,
like,
yeah, like
revamp
they're starting
it.
from scratch.
Because even when those the Marvel ones they made,
Mhm.
those were what was it, the DC ones they made? The Batman.
Yeah, they made Batman
like,
ones.
That one was so fun, but it was just like it's impossible not to beat it.
Exactly.
Really.
Yeah, I think they're trying to make them.
And the problem I
Fair
felt
enough.
with those in the Batman, like as soon as you finish, you have to go back with a certain character to finish more of this first screen. Like
Yeah, 100%,
there's a lot,
right?
there's a lot
Yeah.
of back and forth.
Yeah.
It gets old after a while.
Well, this one I think is going to be more of a modern game with just Lego.
That's fun though.
Yeah, I'm so
That's
excited.
fun.
And you can play the episodes in any order.
Cool.
So I'll be skipping all the later ones. All right, and finally, Australian police have shut down a drug smuggling operation that used hollowed-out comic books to hide bags of crystal meth, including copies of DC Comics' Injustice Gods Among Us and Batman TMNT.
How do you hollow out a comic book?
I think they cut out all like
Are we talking
the
about
pages inside.
graphic?
No,
meth?
comics, weekly comics.
They're thin enough.
I know. Authorities seized 3 kilos of crystal meth and estimate that $700,000 worth of drugs were smuggled through mail-order comics from Southern California to Australia.
Great. Wow.
So I think they used a blade to cut out like the centers of the pages inside and then put bags in between.
Unbelievable.
It's crazy.
Okay.
I just thought that was interesting.
Fun story.
Yeah, and that's it for the current news.
All right. Good job.
All right. Next, our interview with Chris Campana. All right, joining us today, Chris Campana, comic artist extraordinaire. Chris, how you doing, man?
Hey, what's going on? How you guys doing?
Pretty good. We want to talk about you today. How's everything going?
I don't mind talking about me. Things are good.
So usually how we start these is we go into our guest origin story. You know, how you got into you're not necessarily the industry, but, you know, what started you on the path to geekdom?
Well, I was working at I was going to Empire State University. I was a science student, and I was bitten by a radioactive spider, and I started a wrestling career. No, it's a true story, but don't tell anybody. It really started. I've told this story 1,000 times. So I had 3 older brothers. The brother closest to me, who was like 7 years older, he was a big comic book guy, and I really wanted to be like him. Like, he was the coolest kid on the block to me. So I used to steal his comics, but I couldn't really read that well because I was young. So I just liked the Hulk because there was nothing to read. He was just, he was just angry. And my mom took me to the store, and I saw Man-at-Arms on the shelf, and he was green. So I was like, Mommy, he must be a friend of the Hulk. And, she bought it, and I turned it over on the back, and there were all these cool figures and all this cool world and all this kind of stuff. And it was just, that's it. I had to get into it. So I got into Masters of the Universe, and then I learned who Frank Frazetta was. And after that, the rest is history.
Yeah, he had the box art on the back of those has very, I don't think it was Frazetta, but it was very Frazetta-esque looking art on the back of those Master of the Universe figures, along with the comic book that came with them. So those were awesome. Again, TC, I'm the big comic book fan here, but it's me, Tess. I just go by TC, so no one knows.
So that's a secret identity. I won't tell anybody.
Yeah, we won't tell anybody, just like the 100 people that listen to this sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that's awesome.
The thing was, the mini comics. Well, according to some of the specials, they wanted Frazetta, but he was too expensive, and rightfully so. But the mini comic stuff, Alfredo Alcala, at the beginning was just his art. That's kind of all I needed. I mean, seeing these cool characters I'd never seen before, and the world building that they did, and then stumbling onto Alcala later with Buscema and the Conan stuff. That was it. And then I'm an '80s kid, Thundercats, He-Man, all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah. So are we. Well, most of us. Some of us. It's a mixed bag we have here. So there's about 5 of us here tonight. I think you've met my other buddy Jim. We call him JJ on the podcast.
Chris, what's up?
And then we have another guy we call Toy Story.
Hey, what's up, Chris?
We have our newest member, Bonus Jonas is what we call him.
How you doing?
Bonus Jonas?
Yes.
I used to look like a Jonas brother. I still kind of do, but
we'll
with facial hair.
Yeah, we absolutely will. And then our final member here is our Dungeon Master. He's the one who heads up all our D&D games.
Hey, Chris, what's up?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What's happening?
All right, man. So, what are some of the creators and characters, other than the Hulk, obviously, that inspired you in the comic book world?
So, I mean, for me, you're gonna hear my dog snoring and chewing.
That's fine. My dog did this a few episodes ago.
when I'm in the studio, like, he has to lay under the table because he's also working. But
good for him.
For me, characters, it's weird, like, doing what I do, since, drawing comics and it's the gig and all that kind of stuff. People always come up to me and say, what comics are you reading now? What comics did you read when you were a kid and all that kind of stuff. It's very strange because I love Spidey. Like, Spidey and Moon Knight are probably 1 and 1A for me. But I never read a ton of comics growing up. I just really, it's weird because I didn't read them, but I looked at every single page for the art. I just didn't read a lot of them, so I don't know a whole bunch of big story arcs. I read some of the big ones, but really it was the art. So, with Spidey, like, if you ask my favorite Spidey artist, it's Ross Andrew. And, then probably McFarlane after that. And then, Otley and Eminem and those guys. But it was never reading. It was just characters I dug looking at, depending on who the artist was. And Spidey's origin is kind of big to me too.
Yeah, I mean, me and Toy Story here, we're working on a whole collection of Spidey. We're huge Spidey guys too. I'm about 20 books away from finishing up an Amazing Spider-Man run, but it's getting tough.
Oh, damn.
A lot of big books then.
I'm way behind that.
Yeah, but no, Spidey's awesome. McFarlane's just a legend in terms of, like, even though it wasn't that much work that he did on that, like, how many issues? You're an encyclopedia.
Ooh, he was on
298 to 326.
Yeah,
was it even that late?
I thought it was in the 20s. Might not.
It was 320 something, but and then he did the first 5. No, he did the first 16 of the Spider-Man series.
Yeah, I think it was 16. Here's the thing with McFarlane, though. Like, I stopped reading comics for a little bit and got into some other stuff. But when I can't remember, I think it was Spidey 3. I think it was 302. He's on the cover with Sandman and Silver Sable, and I'd never seen anybody draw the webs like that.
Yep.
So it made me pick the book back up, and it actually got me back into comics and took me a little bit away from, like, the fantasy art that I was, pretty much digging on that whole time. And so he's kind of responsible for the mess that you guys get to see me draw all the time. You can pretty much blame Todd McFarlane for getting me back into comics.
that's awesome.
that's cool.
I actually saw something he was talking about recently where he actually said, like, when he started drawing Spider-Man, he wanted to get the webs right and get them different than how he'd seen before.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, that's awesome. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it looks like you can actually grab them. Like, instead of just what every other Spidey artist did, like, these webs were like, you could do something with these things.
Yeah, it looked like something you could actually swing on.
Yeah.
All right, man.
That's my story. Oh, and Moon Knight. Moon Knight is the first comic I ever bought with my own money. Sienkiewicz and Monk. Moon Knight #1 is
Nice.
Do you still have it?
Yeah, first one.
Nice.
Do you still have it?
I have the entire run plus the annuals. I bought the entire run, which was 80 or 81 issues, and plus 2 or 3 annuals. I bought it for $80 about 10 years ago, and I've never opened one of them. Like, I went through them when I was a kid, but I never opened them again when I rebought the run because I just look at the covers and Bill's like a friggin' god.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, his art, it's unmistakable, really.
Yeah, he's out of control.
Yeah.
He's too good. He makes you feel bad about himself.
So what are some of the stuff that you've done within the industry before we get into kind of your creator-owned properties?
Oh, you want to take? I could take it back. I could take you guys back to.
Yeah, we want to hear it all.
Oh, fuck. All right.
It's actually even funnier that you almost did it.
Well, for any indie artist who may be listening to this, this is a cautionary tale. So I'm old. In 96, I accepted a job with this company called Intrepid Comics in California, and I packed up my bags and I drove to California. They'd seen my stuff in 94 at San Diego Comic-Con. And when I was standing on the I think it was Image Comics line. I think it was 94. I think it was 97, somewhere in there. All I know is that Eric Stevenson and Rob Liefeld were doing portfolio reviews, and I watched Liefeld make somebody cry, and I was like, wow, I'm glad I'm on Eric's line.
That sounds great.
It was bad. So
was it because that person drew feet better than Rob?
Exactly. He just insulted him because of the feet drew. But I also watched somebody, I don't know who it was, but some dude also got hired right on the line, right on the spot. I don't know who it was, but I remember seeing the portfolio. It was mind-blowingly good. And it also, again, made me feel bad about myself. But I don't know what year that was, but for like a year or two after Image started. But I accepted a job with Intrepid. I drove cross-country to Cali, and then they never, ever secured a meeting with me. For months, I tried to track them down. So I came back to Jersey with my tail between my legs, and I started doing creator-owned. And by the third issue of my creator-owned, I ran out of money, so that ended for a while. I didn't know anything I was doing, man. Like, I didn't know anything about the business, the industry. I just wanted to draw cool stuff and have people read it. I just figured that's the way it was going to go. And it didn't go that way. So that's how I started. And then I worked for Caliber. I left comics for a while and did a bunch of storyboards for like BMW and a whole bunch of commercial work for pharmaceutical companies and pretty much part-time artist until I was, I guess, for 14 years. And then I hooked back up with IDW, did some Turtles covers, doing some stuff for Scout now, some stuff for Source Point Press. Dynamite, I did Vampirella Pathfinder, worked on Telos with Todd DeZago and a bunch of people. Did a ghosting job for DC that I can't mention what it was because it was ghosting.
Spooky.
Exactly. But I did it, so I can still say that I did it.
Yeah, I remember you had mentioned something like that to us before, and we're like, well, we're not going to bring it up specifically, but if he brings it up.
Yeah, well, you know what? Because if you know, I'm sure I told you what it was, and it's like the greatest thing that I wish I could tell anyone about, but you can't tell anyone because then since you can't show it, it's like you made it up.
Right, exactly.
You know, so, and I guess that answers the question. I mean, that was all my mainstream sort of stuff before I decided that I really want to do creator-owned. I mean, I would work again with DC, or I have some things going on with Marvel right now that may work, may not work. You never really know. But creator-owned is just exactly what it is. Like, you own it. It's everything that you would want to do with a story. Yeah, you don't have to draw some iconic characters, but your characters can be iconic because you created them.
Interesting.
So a lot of those, how have you launched them? Have you gone through like Kickstarter, and has it just been Kickstarter, or?
Guys, that was a really cool statement I just said about having iconic creator-owned characters. I got nothing for that.
Sorry.
I was actually writing a note down.
I'll say it again later if you guys would do like a retake on that, so we can edit that.
Oh yeah, let's do it. We're gonna cut the whole part out. Not really, but we're gonna cut the whole part out and do it again.
No, we won't.
No, that's awesome. I was like, I'm hearing a lot more. Like, I think all of us are hearing a lot more. People are just going this route. You know, they have great stories to tell. You know, great characters that need to come alive, and you know, sometimes the big guys just want to deal with like the Batman, Superman, Spider-Mans of the world, and they don't want to give a new character a shot. And without that, we wouldn't see like awesome new things that people come out with. Like First World, I read it. I think some of these other guys read it too. Is like it's a great story. I'm really looking forward for more on that. My favorite character, I've told you already, is Garen. You need to tell me who that guy was that you sold that headshot of him to, that cover, so I can track him down and get it from him. But
he's popular because he looks like a Thundercat. So everybody loves him.
That's maybe that's what my connection
that makes
probably
total
is to him.
sense.
Yeah. But it's a great story. Do you have more planned for First World? Well, actually, I guess since some people might not have had the experience of reading it like I had, do you want to just give a brief summary on what First World is, and tell us something about it, and maybe where you're going to go with it?
You know what? I will.
That sounds great.
Sounds great. Thanks. The thing with First World was, I'm a huge sword and sorcery guy, but my biggest issue with anything you read sword and sorcery is there's always like this preordained savior. There's always, as long as you do this, the world's going to survive. As long as, like, Lord of the Rings, get the ring, we're going to be all right. You know, you get the sword, everything's going to be okay. And I couldn't really relate to characters because I didn't invest in them because the hero always wins. It's always going to happen. And yeah, it's cool, but I you know, you watch Titanic, the boat sinks. I know what's going to happen. You know, like, yeah, it's a good movie, but I already know the ending. So the thing with First World is legit. I was watching the History Channel one night, and it was something about the evils that men can do. And I thought to myself, could you imagine if you could take, like, all the hate, anger, jealousy, regret, everything, negative emotion that everybody has in this world, and if you could, like, take that and turn it into an army, what would that army be? And then how would you defeat it when everything that army did built the army? You know, like what would you do? And at the time, I hadn't read anything else. I'm sure there's a ton of things that are similar to that, but I hadn't read anything that was like that. And I was like, you know what? I'll create two characters, and I'll make one, like, they'll both be born out of the same circumstance, but one will make this choice, one will make this choice, and their paths will be built upon that. It's kind of like one of those old, like some of you guys might remember those Choose Your Own Adventure books.
Absolutely.
I love those books. Those are great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like turn 8. Like, you know, when you get those books and 86 is this and page 120 is this. You'd, like, turn to 86 and you'd die if you keep your finger on there and you go to the other one.
So go back. Absolutely.
I don't want to make that choice.
Like, I totally chose. I chose page 120. I promise. You know.
I'm still alive. It's just a flesh wound.
It's just a flesh.
So that was First World. There's this character named Orem and this other character named Riss, and they both experience something pretty devastating, and they make choices that build their path. And, you know, obviously I'm not going to give away what happens, but it's nothing preordained. You make those choices. There's this book called The Book of Three. It's kind of like a play on the stuff I don't like about fantasy stuff. So the book called The Book of Three is past, present, and future, and it's already written. And they want to go find this dragon that guards this book, and with the blood within that dragon, you can rewrite the pages. So I'm essentially taking a shot at the genre. Yeah, I appreciate that, because I thought it was like, you know, to me, dragons were like the oldest and wisest creatures, and they sort of built everything.
Like
but they were
Granomir.
kind of like the walkers. What's that?
I said like Granomir.
Yeah, like Granomir. There you go. What was that? The book of something, the tree, whatever it was. That episode.
Yes.
What was the name of that episode? Damn it.
You know
It's
what?
like tree.
Just keep going. I'm gonna find it. I'm on IMDb.
Yeah,
as we
we'll
talk
edit
about.
this right out.
Yeah.
We'll just edit. This is a lot of editing.
Yeah, you go ahead and continue.
It was whatever it was cool, and I just thought, man, what would you do? Like, if you were faced with, you know, an entire village, your family, everything getting wiped out, and somebody came to you and was like, man, I know of this book. I know where it is. I can't get to it, but if we get it, we can rewrite the pages, and you legit get everything back. You might make the choice to do whatever it takes to get to that book. But that's the bad guy's decision. He decided to do that, so he doesn't care about all the people he kills leading up to getting that book, because he just figures, you know what? I'm going to rewrite it anyway, so all this won't happen. And then the choice the good dude makes is basically, yeah, but I don't want to put anybody for a second through what I'm going through right now, so I'm not going to make that choice. And it's kind of like both are sort of, can you really argue with what Orem's doing? You know what I mean? Like, can you argue with that?
No.
You know,
I mean,
you might do that.
Interesting.
I mean, I like to think I wouldn't kill people, but.
Right.
I can't say the same.
We're not going to talk about that.
I was just gonna say, it's like
Real quickly, it was the dragon's gift.
Dragon's gift. That's it. Yeah. Or the tree of whatever I was.
Well,
saying.
it was he was like the tree beard. He wanted him to chop down tree beard or something like that.
Yes. I knew there was some kind of tree thing involved.
I don't know that movie.
But,
It's Master
like,
Universe. It's the cartoon.
Oh.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah, like the thing is, obviously you wouldn't wipe out entire villages to get to this book, but he's like the loneliness of self, and I'm going to go into the woods a little bit on this because this is the story's like, it's just, to me, obviously I created it, so I think it's cool, but like me and, me alone, but how far would you really go? And again, could you blame him? Because he's twisted by it. He's got this whole thing going on. He's like, I'm just going to bring it all back. Don't worry. And then when you've gone too far, when you realize all the bad stuff you've done, you can't turn back now because you owe it to everybody to keep going. So in this weird kind of twisted way, it's almost noble.
Huh.
Yeah.
Because now, now his quest is to get everybody else's family back too, because he messed up.
He's in too deep. He's in too deep, and he's made all these decisions. He's done all these terrible deeds. He has to just keep going. He has
to live with it.
Yeah, he's got to get that book to make up for all of the terrible things he's done. Huh.
Exactly. So the thing there is, even though we all kind of grew up on just bad guys who are bad and they're clearly defined, I wanted to sort of blur the line.
You want the well-rounded villain, the well-rounded antagonist.
Yeah, you want him to be sort of relatable. Like you understand, you understand where he's coming from, kind of deal.
Yeah, it's twisted and it's maniacal, but at the same time, like, I might have gone about it a different way, but it's not totally,
right,
terrible.
Yeah, no, agreed. So you haven't finished. Have you released all of them yet?
No,
okay. Because I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure Volume 3 was the last one I read, and I didn't think there was more.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't expect. I'm kind of lucky because the fan base, it built the fan base, and people reacted pretty positively to it. But I didn't expect it to go more than 2 volumes, and then because. And I have my issues creatively with some things that I did personally in Volume 1 and Volume 1 and 2. But because of the way the fan base reacted, the story kind of, I know how it's going to end, but I had to actually world build more because people liked it more than I thought they were going to like it. And I've always said, if it's 1 or 1 million and people want to read it, I'm going to draw it because you got to be thankful that somebody wants to read something that you essentially just thought of and would have drawn for free. So I'll keep going until people don't want it anymore.
So I'm just looking at the Kickstarter that you did for Volume 3. Was Volume 1 and 2 also on Kickstarter, or how did you release that?
So Volume 1, business-wise, I Kickstarted, I think, issues 1 and might have been 1 and 2, or even 1, 2, and 3. But the thing is, when you're doing indie stuff, you have to make sure you come out on a fairly regular basis. And if you don't, as long as you're producing art, people usually understand. But you can't sort of vanish. And that's the biggest challenge with indies. The price point has to stay competitive even though your costs are more. And you have to come out on a fairly regular basis because you'll lose your readership real quick.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a challenge. And also, you don't have 80 years of marketing behind these characters, so people aren't as invested. You're essentially everything, and that's the big challenge of creating our own stuff. So I kickstarted, I think 1, 2, it might have been all 3, and then issue 4. Instead of doing that as a floppy by itself, the business decision was made to make it part of the trade only for the first 4 issues, because otherwise, if I had collected them and also had 4 floppies, I'm essentially, selling against myself.
All right. Well, you just tell me when it's time to buy that then.
Well, Volume 1, 2, and Issue 7, Volume 3 are on campanaart.org.
Well,
so go ahead and order those.
I have those.
The new one is written. The new one is written, and I'm happy with it. There's some cool stuff that happens. And I think I'm getting better as a writer, and I'm understanding. I'm learning the characters too, so I'm sort of writing in their voices more. So I'm
so it's a learning process for you too.
And what's that?
It's a learning process, right?
Oh, absolutely. When I go back to Volume 1, especially the first 2 or 3 issues, I wasn't giving the readers enough credit. I was over-explaining kind of like I'm doing now, because I I just get caught up in the thought of it, and I want to make sure that it's clear, because I don't know, creators' minds are always so convoluted, but it kind of makes sense when I put it down on paper.
Right. So is that something you didn't realize until after, like way after the fact?
Yeah, the regrets set in after I read a few of the issues. I'm like, oh man, I'm sorry.
Too late now.
Yeah, no, it was still good. I think, I mean, I've told you this, personally. I was just like, by the time I got to volume two, like just hits the ground going. I was just like, oh man, I was like, as soon as I finished that, I was like, well, I need to get like, issue 7 here. And I read that. I was like, all right, well, I want to read the rest now. So that was, it was.
Did you?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was finished.
Oh, well, I thank you for your thoughts. Did you find that in issue 7, like, because now you've read all of them, and I know that a lot of people were saying, look, we want to see this Kantara stuff because it's the prequel from like 2012, and that's one of the reasons why I overwrote the first few issues, because I was talking about characters a lot of people didn't know from a prior project, and I thought putting issues 1 and 2 of Kantara in the back of issue 7 of First World made sense, because now you sort of were really hungry for that info.
It was funny. I was a little confused when I got to it at first. That could have just been me, but I went back and then I understood what it was. I was just like, because I thought it was just continuing, and I was like, all right, maybe this is a flashback. But then I was like, when I went back and I read, I was like, oh no, this is what you referenced, and then I understood what it was. But I'll be honest, I was confused at first. It could just be me though.
That may have been the case for a lot of people. It's hard because when I know these characters inside and out, so there's a weird line where you don't want to over-explain, but also, you've got to give people enough
either, right?
They need some questions, but you also have to answer some questions. It's weird. It's a challenge.
You got to put yourself in the reader's shoes, right? Like, and figure out exactly what they want and need.
Yeah, you want to. The thing you could do is you could hand it to people who have no idea what the hell you're talking about and see if they understand it.
That makes sense.
How do you find your script for yourself? Since you're the one who's doing the writing and the art duties, do you write out like a full script with panel descriptions? Do you do thumbnails where you kind of write out what's going to happen on each page, but you have like thumbnails with what you were going to do, and maybe kind of work it out art-wise a little bit, like instead of doing the full script method, the Marvel method?
He's our art guy, by the way. That's how he had that question for you.
I absolutely love that question. You get to ask at least 3 more questions.
This is Bojo.
That question is awesome. I will talk art all day long, every day.
Awesome.
It's more the Marvel method because I'm an artist first, writer second.
I kind of figured. I thought that might be the case, but I figured I'd wanted to ask that.
Yeah, no, you're spot on, and I don't pretend to be the other way around. In fact, only recently did I start putting in my bio writer and artist, because but see, as an artist, you're also sort of a writer visually, so again, there's that weird blurred line to it. But I think the way I work is I come up with a plot, and then I have A to B, and then I figure out how I'm getting there visually, and it's sort of this very organic thing where I'll start drawing a page, and by the time I get to that bottom of that page, I already know where I'm leading, and then it's kind of like it just flows from there. If you're in a good rhythm, it just flows. The book kind of writes itself at this point because I know the characters so well, and I just get really excited about certain visual things because I've already built their relationship. So now we can get into like the banter, and we can get into all this stuff. So it's easier now than it was like early on.
Okay. Do you ever find yourself like you get to the bottom of the page, you're like, yeah, it would be cooler if I do this, and you wind up doing the second revision or third revision? Do you find that like you'll do an entire issue and then you're like, none of this worked?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, what I had to learn, and I've spoken to a bunch of big artists about this, is for the most part, you're 65-70% happy with any issue you put out, but if you'll never be 100%, if you try to be, you're never going to hit your deadline.
Yep.
So That's basically what it is. Because I don't think any artist could ever say the image in your head is exactly what you get on the paper. It is never that. It's never as good. It gets close, but it never happens. So it's one of those things where.
That's a great description for it. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say.
I really
it
appreciate
that way.
you saying that.
That makes it really clear.
It's the truth, and pencils have erasers for a reason, and it's just mistakes happen. It is an imperfect thing, and I was talking to Kari Andrews a couple of years ago at this show, and he was like, "Man, because a lot of people think you work sequentially, and I don't work sequentially. I'll do page 1, I'll do page 7. I'll do the ones that demand the most out of me artistically, and I already know in between, like from 2 to 6, I know how I'm ending up to 7. So even if it's not thumbnails, visually I have it. And if not, well, then that becomes page 8 or becomes page 6, but I know how I'm getting there. And I'll do the ones that demand the most, whether it's a bunch of backgrounds or they're the major splash pages or it's a 2-page spread with a huge battle. Those are the ones I roll into because by the time you're at the end of an issue, you're shot. And the last thing you want to do is sit down and do a 3-point perspective city scene, with like cars and talking heads. You want nothing to do with that.
That I can completely understand that.
So
hit those early.
I just want to back up real quick. So you just said that there are times where you do page 1 and then you'll do page 7, and then do the other pages later. Like that just
absolutely.
That boggles my mind.
Thinking
right
about
now.
it, it's weird.
How do you put the story together?
He's got I'm jumping in here, Chris. Like the thumbnails, you got those ready to go. So it's just a matter of you jumping on the stuff that like is gonna like require the most energy and thought, right?
It just boggles my mind right now. That just
I'm too OCD person for that.
So you can never be a perfectionist and an artist in a comic book because
That's my problem.
yeah, I guess that is a problem.
You're your own.
There's the challenge of it because you are a perfectionist because your name is attached to this, so it has to look as good as possible. But you will never be a professional artist and a deadline artist if you are a perfectionist. So deal with that.
Yeah.
So how do you find the happy medium between that?
When you don't get jobs anymore because you missed deadlines.
That doesn't sound happy.
Then you're like, oh, okay, I get it. The happy medium for me is when you realize printed image is 6 5/8 by 10 1/4, and there's probably a word balloon over that thumb that you messed up. So, let's just go on to the next one and make sure that the split, like, hit your money shots. If you're drawing, for example, you got here's a 3-page Spidey sample right here. Okay, you got a couple in a diner. They're talking, the waiter's there. All of a sudden, the waiter looks up, drops the coffee, carafe thing or whatever that he's pouring things out of. And the couple turns, you look out the window, and Rhino's running by with a bag of money. Okay, nobody wants to draw that opening scene, but you have to hit it. But you can maybe do some stuff in there where it's not going to be seen as much. The money shot is that second splash when Rhino's running down the street. You've got buildings, people reacting to him, cars exploding on the side, and Spidey's in the back swinging in. Nail that shot. Nobody remembers that the pinky on the waiter's hand was wonky.
You're absolutely
really
right. That's a great walkthrough.
That's pretty cool because I can actually visualize that. When you were talking, I was like, I can see this visually in my head.
Wow. So you actually know what you're doing, huh?
Wow.
That's awesome.
Who said that? Who said
that?
I'm doing?
That was
Who said
Tess, of course.
No more questions from that.
It's going to be a quiet episode then.
I've got your gigantic statue. I have your gigantic statue in a box in my studio.
Oh, come
mine.
on. I was just going to ask you about that. So, I mean, our next talking point was Adventures of Parker Reef, and, the gigantic statue is part of that as well. So he's a character, right? So I have my book on pre-order. Why don't you give us a little bit of, Adventures of Parker Reef?
So, well, to speak to deadline and product part of it. So the statues came in. I can't remember when I posted it. It's probably almost 2 weeks ago. I got the statues in, and I only opened one, and I only opened the base that was one of 25, and I took that and I put it next to like all some other stuff like pictures of Tana and all those kinds of things in my studio. Everything else is still bubble wrapped. It's still in box. I'll just be taking the bases out and signing them, but they'll be shipped as they were shipped to me. I'll do quality control and make sure there's nothing wrong with them, but I'm going to touch them as little as possible if I can to make sure that they're as pristine as when I got them.
Got it.
The thing with that is I need to check them because they were shipped from the Philippines, and I just want to make sure everything's good because that's a long way to come to Jersey.
Oh yeah.
But
is that international too, though? From coming from Jersey to like the rest of the United States?
So we'll go on from this. So the thing is, I'm from Staten Island, man. Come pump the brakes on me a little bit.
Oh boy, I don't know which one's worse.
Stick with
worse.
Jersey.
Not worse. This interview is over.
All right, well, thank you for your time. It was great.
The thing with Gigantic, what I wanted, I'm mailing out a whole bunch of the variant Turtles covers now. I'm mailing out a whole bunch of wristbands from the foundation, which some people may be familiar with. So the next thing is the Kickstarter for Parker Reef, getting all those rewards fulfilled and drawing all those drawings, like 60 drawings, and then packaging and shipping out Gigantic. And if you ordered Parker Reef and Gigantic, honestly, I'm shipping them both together. So when I get Parker Reef back, you're going to get all that stuff together. So you might get it a little bit after someone else, but I think it's kind of cool to get the whole package together.
No, absolutely agreed.
A little bit more impactful. And I've decided to do something with the Gigantic packaging where I'm trying to figure out some kind of bonus thing I'm going to put in the packaging with the statue. I'm not going to tell you guys what it is because I want it to be a surprise when you get it, but there's something coming with that isn't the book, that isn't the statue. You're getting a bonus thing with Gigantic. I wanted to do him like on card, like the old action figures, but it was just the pricing was astronomical.
Yeah, because it's a pretty big piece, right?
Yeah, well, he's the same size as the He-Man figure, but to have all that done, I mean, I guess I could, print out the backing boards, all those kinds of things. But to be honest, and full disclosure, running a nonprofit, being a full-time artist, you guys would have been waiting way longer to get those statues. So I'm doing something else that I think is kind of cool, and hopefully everybody digs it.
I'm excited to see what it is.
Yeah, I think you'll like it. And the statue, like I said, I opened mine, and it's just so cool. Like he feels like an 80s action figure.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing. 100%.
Yeah.
When I saw him, I was like, it literally looks right out of like a Master of the Universe episode. Like I could see this guy being in episode like 76 or something like that.
Yeah,
like the cool.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I keep cutting you off because there's like a weird timing thing, but I want to hear what you have to say because what you say is important to me.
No, what I was going to say was I'm looking at it now on your website. It does look pretty cool. You still have these?
Thank you.
You still have these available?
I've got 4 left.
Oh, okay.
I think you're gonna have 3 left.
You're gonna have 3 left by the end of the night.
Oh, cool. Well, I appreciate that. Just know that those funds go right towards the foundation. They go right towards helping families get things for their kids. All I did is the money I made from those is I paid the cost of them, and then every other dime goes right towards the foundation. I don't pocket any of that stuff. So
might have 2 left.
2 left.
Good. That's even better. Just know I already have them in stock, so there you go. I'll tell you one of the coolest things is a couple of weeks ago in Dallas at Dallas Fan Expo. I'm sitting and I was talking to Ed McGuinness, and he comes to my table and he's looking at my work, and we're talking about working with Marvel and all this kind of stuff. And even though like I've got this potential like Marvel project going, the coolest thing he said to me was, man, I really want to draw this guy. And I look down and it's gigantic. He's like, I have to draw him. So
That's awesome.
that's just, yeah, it was cool, man. Like Ed McGuinness is like ridiculously good. And he's going to draw a gigantic piece for me. So that's just, I can't wait to see it.
That's awesome, man. I want to see that too. Make sure you post that.
And Jim's getting his credit
No,
card out.
I'm keeping it myself. Screw you guys. It's mine alone.
Well, no. I'm just saying. I want he's getting his credit card to buy the statue.
Jim is getting his credit card out to buy your statue right now.
I'm sitting next to
Oh,
both
that's awesome.
Toy Story and JJ, and they're both like placing orders now, I think.
I appreciate that. I'm telling you, it's cool. So he, like most statues, so the way he sits on the base, he's got that peg coming out of his foot, or he's got the hole in his foot, the peg's coming out of the base. It goes right on the base. Bottom of the base is signed by the sculptor. I sign the top. There'll never be more than 25 made, and that's the end of it. So that's how limited it is. But a lot of people, after seeing him, and no one's read the book, but a lot of people after seeing him want me to do a series of books with him because he's just so much fun. So that's something that could happen down the road. It's not something I'm going to do. I've got a few other things that I've got to work on before I do that, but that could be.
Cool.
That could be.
I'm just going to cycle back for just a quick second. Can you tell us a little bit about the foundation, maybe the full name of it, what it is that you're doing with it? You mentioned it was a nonprofit, and I just think for the listeners out there, maybe just give them a little rundown on what that is.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go into the weeds on this. So, 15 months ago, I lost my girlfriend and our 37-week-old son to a uterine rupture. They passed away. We didn't know it was happening, and from that moment on, you kind of scramble. You want to do everything to sort of have a part of them with you and to keep carrying them with you in this world. So, the Adventures of Parker Reef is that. And also the foundation is called Tamina's Reef. And Tamina, my girlfriend's name is Tana, and her parents used to call her Tamina. And Parker's middle name was Reef. So the foundation is called Tamina's Reef. And basically what it is we had an incredible, incredible baby shower. I mean, we got every single thing you could get. And we got doubles because people were just, Tana's first baby, my third. And we were just, over the moon about this stuff. And some families, whether it's a single parent, or families who it's an unexpected child, or maybe, they had to get their breaks done that month, or they lost a job, or whatever it is, some families can't get the stuff that we got. So the foundation is basically you contact me, or I find you through like social services or whatever. And if you need something, whether it's a full-on baby shower, or if it's diapers for that week, formula for that month, whatever it is, I get it for you. I find a way to get it for you. We have a process where I make sure that, you're not taking advantage of the system. I make sure that you need it because you want to make sure it's going to the right places.
Right.
And, we show up, you get the stuff. If you want to take a picture, we take a picture. If you're, not embarrassed, but if you want it to be kept between you and me, we keep it between you and me and your baby, and you have what you need to get you to the next one. And that's basically it. It's just sort of my way of making sure that Tana and Parker, keep going, and that every kid and every family has, I guess, selfishly a part of them too, but it's something that Tana had a nonprofit on her own when she was here. It was, for like dancers, and she also had something for domestic abuse and all that kind of stuff. She was a trauma therapist, so she was very involved in those kind of communities. And it's just something I felt compelled to do. It's challenging. Nonprofits are difficult, but it's a good thing.
It's fantastic.
That's a very noble cause.
Yeah.
It's amazing, Chris. It really is.
Thanks, man. It's one of those things. It's just one of those things. you'll see when you read Parker Reef and all that kind of stuff. It's I joke around and all those kinds of things, but there's some heavy stuff, and you kind of gotta just get up and you push through that wall no matter how you can. And Tanina's Reef is one of those ways that I push through it.
That's awesome, man. Like I've told you before, is like, it's that your story kind of always hit me hard, and I know we used to joke beforehand about the whole Man at Arms mustache thing, and now it's like
right.
As my way of remembering them, Man at Arms never has a mustache again. So that was just that's my personal thought.
That's right.
For you, yeah. But so why don't you tell us a little bit about the book now?
All right, so the book. I have to tell you. So, did I ever tell you guys about how the book even came about?
I don't think
so.
I've
No.
heard that.
It's the craziest thing. I was having a hard time drawing. It's hard to sort of settle back into to be an artist. For me, anyway, is you have to let your mind go, and you just kind of drift off into this thing where you create, and everything else shuts off, and you get into like kind of this Zen sort of state where you just draw, and you don't even hear the music playing anymore. You don't hear your phone, and all of a sudden you look up and it's like 7 hours later, and you're exhausted because mentally and physically you're shot, but you created something. And after everything happened, I couldn't do it anymore. Like I thought about walking away, all that kind of stuff. And I was sitting down at my table, and I started drawing this picture, and it started out as a female warrior holding like she was sitting on some creature she had. I figured I'd go back to my fantasy art roots, and she's like sitting on this creature, and it was kind of like this cute kind of drawing, and all of a sudden it turned into a 14-year-old Parker sitting on a rock with a soul guardian next to him. And I had no idea where it came from. And no joke, the entire story was written under 10 minutes.
Wow.
I don't know, and I'm not not to get too much into it, but I'm not a crazy religious guy. But I will tell you without a doubt, something Canna helped me write the entire book. It was done. I had start to finish in under 10 minutes, 10 minutes tops. I knew how it was going to end. I knew where we were going. I knew different, lands he was going to travel to. I knew all of it. And I remember sending a text to my buddy who I've known since I was 16. And he's like, that's it. You've got your masterpiece. Now go draw it. And that's how it started.
That's cool.
Great
Awesome,
story.
man.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty nuts.
And I just bought the book too now. You'll be able to put those together and ship. You'll be able to, because it's 2 separate orders now, so I screwed up. But 2 separate orders.
So can you tell us?
Look, if I lose track of them, that's on you.
So can you tell us a little bit about Gigantic's role in the story, or is it too spoilerific?
Read the book.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. Like the book could have been 500 pages. It could have been 10 pages. It ends up being it's 43 pages of art. The best way to explain it is it's like, and this is not a spoiler at all, it's kind of like Castaway. The initial, again, it was 10 minutes. I had the entire thing. And then I took myself out of it because I wanted to make sure that it wasn't, it's a personal project, but I didn't want to get so caught up in it that it became like a grief book. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want it to be just like you're stuck in the mud the whole time, because I already lived that. So I didn't want it's an adventure. It's the adventures of Parker Reef. I had to make it, an adventure. I had to write him the way I would expect him to be at 14 years old. So it wasn't just, I had to be really careful to not be like, and then I was sad and I miss you guys and, here's more depression, because if the book's going to help people who have gone through something similar or whatever, they don't want to read that. You don't want to, if you're down, you don't want to be more down.
Right.
So it was just, so it was one of those things where, I had to be careful with stuff. So it's a 43-page book. Gigantic plays man, I almost said a gigantic role, but
Can you say that right now? Just do it.
he plays a gigantic role in the book.
There we go.
A very pivotal character. Basically, his quote-unquote origin is this. After they passed, Hannah takes certain things from my studio, and because she wants parts of me to be with Parker since I can't be there. And Gigantic is my man-at-arms. So, in the book, that's who he is. He's the first action figure I ever got, and because of that, he's the bridge between myself and Parker. He's the one who sees Parker as a kid and saw me as a kid. So his design, again, came to me really, really quickly. There's one thing I took away from his helmet, but besides that, it's the first sketch. He made it from first sketch right through, pretty much exactly the same thing. And he resonates with people for whatever reason he resonates. But he's got a pretty important role. He's funny. I kind of wrote him. I wrote him to sort of
be you a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, he's. I don't want to give anything away, but there's a really cool part.
It sounds like an awesome concept. I'm going to be honest with you.
Well, I appreciate that because I really think he's something that is like a one-of-a-kind sort of creation for me. It's just I don't think I'm going to create a character that is him for any other book. I could write 20 more books and I don't think I get another Gigantic out of it. But there's this cool part in the story where him and Parker are on this adventure, and he was an action figure, and now wherever they are, he can do things that he could only pretend as an action figure. Like his action feature all of a sudden is a real thing he can do in this world, and he can't understand why. But at the same time, he's also finding out like he's afraid of the dark, and he doesn't like he's like it's just like he's cool. like they're walking into this cave, and he's with Parker. He's like, uh-oh, and Parker says, I won't give away the actual script. Parker's like, what? He goes, and then they keep walking, and it gets dark. He's like, yep, I'm afraid of the dark.
That's awesome. I love that.
I really relate too hard to that.
Yeah, it's cool because, when you're playing with your superheroes, they're your superhero action figures and they can do whatever. And so he's sort of that same sort of ilk. He's like, yeah, I'm a superhero. And then he goes into the real world. He's like, oh man, this is not great. So those kinds of things are cool. And the story, to answer your earlier question, with the story itself, is basically this. So Parker's 14. They've been in heaven or wherever you think people go, and he wants to know about me. And everything that Tana tells him, 14-year-old kid, it's not enough anymore. So he wants to figure out a way to get back to me, to ask me the questions that she can't answer. And that's essentially where it kicks off. And then script-wise, I took myself and Tana out of it a lot more, and I made it, like I said, completely. It's his adventure, and it's. I think it. It's hard to say because it's so personal, but I think it's got an appeal to it that, a lot of people will dig and find something they like about it. But at the same time, if they don't, it's personal. I don't know what to say. It's a weird thing.
Chris, you talking about this, I desperately want to read it.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I'm not lying. I was like, I want you to send me this book now.
Well, good news. I've got the pencil. The pencil edition is done. So there's a limited edition pencil edition. It just got finished lettered. Lettered was done today, Tuesday. So we're in post-production on the lettered version, which I will have for Heroes Con, coincidentally, Father's Day weekend. And then the colors will be, Ash has 10 pages left, and we'll just take the letters that were on the pencils and we'll overlay them right onto the colors. So probably a week or two after. And then it's it's done, and it's out there for the world to see.
Looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right,
I
so
appreciate it.
yeah, we're absolutely looking forward to reading that.
Cannot wait.
And we'll definitely talk about it after we read it as part of our, our future podcast, what we're reading and watching. So just looking to the future after Parker Reef. So is there any characters or, creators that you're looking to work with or, things that you want to get done?
So, full disclosure, I did think about leaving after Parker Reef, like I thought about leaving prior to, because I figured it was kind of like you drop the mic and you go, like here it is. I don't know that I could do anything, better than this. This
Right.
is pretty much.
That's understandable.
Yeah, but and I thought about it for a while, but the reason I'm talking about it is because it's not what I'm going to do. It's I kind of. The thing that Tana loved about me the most is that I saw my dream and I went for it. So to sort of leave it is, it's just, you're not really. I owe more to myself and more to her. I got to set.
Right.
And I've got the story.
It's probably not what she would want for you, right?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, happiness first, but happiness is me sitting at my table getting lost in a world that I create.
Right.
So I got to figure out a way to keep doing that. It's a little bit more of a job than it used to be. But as far as characters, I can't talk about it too much. It just happened this weekend in Detroit, and I'll know more on June 5th. Mm-hmm. But there's something that I've been with a Marvel character that I've been kicking around for a while, and I sat down with a writer who's worked for DC and Marvel. And we had some great conversations over the weekend, and we're pitching it. Well, they're pitching it in their meeting on June. And if it goes, it would be just a really awesome storyline. And besides that, I've got something coming up with Scout called Totality, which is a cool book that I've got to start kicking into once I'm done with all these things here. I've got a book called Immortalis, with my buddy Garrett Gunn from Source Point Press that we're going to work on. And then there's some other things. I'm lucky that people want to work with me and want me to sort of take characters that they've created and jump in their world and make it my own a little bit and try to tell a great story. I'm kind of lucky that way because I'm not a big Marvel DC name, but thankfully I'm at an ability level where people want me to work on their stuff because they think it's going to look good, so it's I can't complain.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, we're not going to complain either. We're excited to see it.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Well, nice little segue there. That was like I'm not going to complain either. That was
we're getting better at this.
We're catching on. We're catching on.
Flown a little bit.
Yeah, we're catching the steam and the sails on our wane. The wind in our sails, something like that.
Yeah, the wind in our sails.
Just so you know, my son, as a journalism major who just graduated, really respected that.
Oh, did he really? We might have to hire him.
You might have to. You got rent to pay.
Yeah, we don't pay, but that's
well, give him a meal or something.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll give him a meal, 100%.
Yeah, we pay food, no problem.
Yeah, that's our only form of payment right now.
So, Chris, what kind of advice would you give to your younger self after all these years of experience?
My younger art self?
Yes.
Like just speaking professionally?
Yeah, like when you were just starting out, is there anything that you wish you would have known?
Oh, my younger personal self, I would have said, put down the Hot Pockets.
Oh, they're so good.
Scalding hot.
I know, but
You got to cut them open first before you eat them. It's too much steam.
I wore husky jeans, man.
Wow.
My professional self, Hot Pockets. My professional self is, when I was 19, I was accepted to art school in New York, and I was really, really, I'm setting myself up for a nice snarky comment here, but I was really arrogant and very, very over the top. I had like the wrong kind of belief in myself because I had everybody in my circle telling me how good I was. I didn't have the right people around me. I had like, family tells you you're really good, and you got a bunch of yes people around you, and nothing you draw is bad. So I went into this school thinking I was better than everybody else, and I didn't stay. And the things I could have learned in that school, I probably would still be here, but I'd have been here probably 10 years sooner.
Mm-hmm. Huh.
So I think the biggest advice to my younger self would have been, show your stuff to people who don't love you.
That's great advice, actually.
Yeah, that's great.
I feel like, a lot of the stuff that I've heard, that you can only learn so much from people telling you the same thing. It's like, the losses teach you just as much as, your wins kind of thing. And that's, I feel like that resonates with everything, especially art.
Yeah, I mean, your grandparents are going to tell you they love you, and they're going to buy you every art supply in the world. And my mom still has things I drew when I was, 10 years old and all that kind of stuff. But my big turning point for me was I was at New York Comic Con, and I showed myself to an editor, and he legit was like, "Are you sure you want to do this? Because this is trash." And I like, inside I was just devastated and crying. But and I remember too, I had drawn a Spidey sample, and he was like, "Peter Parker looks like Punisher to me. He's too muscular. He doesn't look like he would look right in the suit. And by the way, you don't know how to draw perspective." And these are the same pages that even my art teacher was like, "These are fantastic." And that was one of those moments where you say, well, either I could go home and draw again tomorrow, or I could say, screw that guy, he doesn't know anything, and not self-scout and continue on the same path. And thankfully, after like a week of breaking every pencil and hating myself, I bucked up and got back on it and started drawing. I bought books on anatomy, and I started drawing from real life, and I learned how muscles work, and drew cars even though I didn't want to. And like the thing I was talking about before, the Spidey scene. I'll get a job drawing Spider-Man, but you're not going to get a job if you can't draw Peter and MJ having coffee.
Yeah, that's true.
How do you get to the Rhino page? You can't just start at the Rhino page.
Right.
You've got to be able to draw the other one.
Right.
It's about telling the story, not just the splash pages.
What was that?
It's about telling the story, not just drawing those splash pages. Not just drawing pinups. No editor in their right mind is going to draw you because you come to their table with a portfolio full of pinups. Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's great advice.
What's the best constructive criticism you got at one of those portfolio reviews?
Great question.
Yes, good question, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a solid question.
It's solid. It was just okay.
It's the same thing I say. Okay, so here's the deal. I'll answer that by saying what I say to young artists now when they come to the table, because this is pretty much how it was said to me. If this is not an addiction, if this isn't your heroin, kindly leave, because you are taking space up for people who are addicted to it. So the thing that was said to me the most was, you better be prepared to hate yourself and hate everything you put on paper until the point where you can sort of accept it, where you can kind of stomach it in a sense. Because again, it's never going to be the best thing that you saw in your head. So if you can get to that point and you have worked hard enough where you start to appreciate your own lines and you stop saying, that doesn't look like McFarlane and I can't accept it, the moment you trust your lines and stop aping people's styles and stop mimicking and stop comparing is the moment you're ready to be a professional.
That's great.
That's really solid.
That's super advice, man.
We have some people here that follow the podcast that I think are aspiring artists or trying to be up and coming comic artists. That's some really good advice.
Yeah, well, it's I tell young artists all the time, and it's the reason why I put in the back of Volume 2 of First World, I put stuff from 1999 in the back of there. And people are like, why are you doing that, man? It's trash. And I said, yeah, because I have people who like my stuff now, and I want them to see where I came from, because you cannot compare yourself to me if you've been in the game for 5 years. Unless you're, God-given talent, and it doesn't matter what you do, you shouldn't be as good as somebody who's got 25 years in. You just shouldn't be. But you compare yourself. I compared myself nonstop to giants. And one day I was like, I can't be as good as them. I haven't drawn the pages. I haven't done the work. Most people say you need 300 pages of sequentials before you're ready for your first gig. They're right.
Wow.
In most cases, that's what it is. I know a guy he was at 306 and he got his first gig. I know another guy who was at 297, got his first gig.
Wow.
You need to learn. And
the best.
When I got back in the game, in 2012, and I thought I was ready. I look at that stuff now. I look at the stuff from 3 years ago. There's a reason why I wasn't hired. I wasn't ready. I was good, but I wasn't pro good. I was indie good. And there's and that's okay, because if you can be pro good, you got to be indie good. Right. And it's just a process.
You can't jump over everything.
You can't. And if you try to, you're going to get stuck in just self-doubt and just hating yourself, and the industry is going to eat you up, and you're not going to make it. Just take your hits. You need one. You can have as many rejections. You need one yes. So just keep going till you get the yes. Or if it's not an addiction.
I love that. Keep going until you get the yes. I love that. It's your best line tonight. Keep going until you get the yes. I love it.
Yeah, or kindly leave. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not a statement of being. I'm not trying to be a jerk when I say it.
No. I get where you come from 100%.
Yeah, save yourself the trouble, because this is hard. I know people who have been in the industry for 20 years. They can't get a gig right now. It's not because they're not good. It's because gigs are hard to come by, which is why there's more creator-owned, which is why there's more IPs. Now. It's difficult to come by. Marvel doesn't pay the way it used to. DC doesn't pay the way they used to, because they could. There's a story about Doug Stegmeyer, who was in Billy Joel's band years ago. And a buddy of mine was a musician, and he was like, "Why'd you leave Billy's band?" And he's like, "Because Billy could have taken a crap on an album and sold 1 million copies, and I didn't want to do that anymore." And DC and Marvel can take a crap in a book and sell comics. The movies are so big, and because the IP is so big, so they don't.
That's a great point.
They don't need you anymore.
I appreciate you bringing up Billy Joel for us Long Island comic guys.
Thank
you. Billy's my number one. Billy's my number one too.
You sure you don't want to move up here?
All right. So wait, what's your number one Billy Joel song?
Oh man.
I'm probably a Piano Man guy.
Yeah, Piano Man.
He hates that song.
That's all right. I love it. I sung that song at Citi Field Game 3, 2015 World Series with everyone else. It was the greatest moment of my life.
I kind of like River of Dreams.
You may be right.
Okay.
Ooh.
All right. I've lost respect for you. Okay.
That's all right.
That's a good song.
I wouldn't expect people to have respect for me.
Street Life Serenader is my song. So
that's a good one too.
Nice, good.
All right, Chris. So before we wrap this up here, we're gonna do a little game segment. So this is a new game we're testing out. It's called Speed Geek. So
I'm so ready right now. It feels like $100,000 pyramid. My share a little bit.
Well, what we're giving away for this contest is bragging rights. So basically, what we're gonna do is we're gonna one of us is gonna do a timer. We're gonna do 30 seconds. I'm gonna try and ask you as many questions as you. They're all pretty straightforward questions. You just kind of have to answer as many as you can, as quickly as you can. We're gonna mark them down, and then our buddy Jim is gonna do the same thing, and then we're gonna see whoever gets more right. Okay.
Crap.
All right.
Okay. Jim, you're gonna get more right, Jim.
Probably not.
All right, Mr. Bojo. When you start the clock, let me know.
All right, you guys ready?
Yep.
All right, ready and go.
Who's Peter Parker?
Spider-Man.
How many Back to the Future movies were made?
3.
Who's Captain Kirk's first officer?
Spock.
What are Wolverine's claws made of?
Adamantium.
What Star Wars film is Episode 5?
Empire.
What planet is Superman from?
Krypton.
What was Stan Lee's real last name?
I don't know.
That's it.
All right.
That's time.
All right. So what was that, 6?
Yeah, 6.
6? That's pretty good, man.
I'm screwed.
Pretty good.
Which one did I miss? I only missed the Stan Lee, or did I miss the Empire?
No, just
No, you got that
Stanley.
one right. Yeah, so it was time anyway on that. So, yeah, so you got 6 right. All right. So, actually, I probably should have told you this, but you got time ran out anyway. If you didn't know, you could pass. I left that part out.
What a jerk.
Thanks so much for the heads up. But what I really want is at the end of this is the bad old game show music and the take-home version.
Okay. Yes, we will do that. We will send that to you.
You've just won this.
You just won absolutely nothing. Congratulations. You can play it.
And the
You can play at home by yourself.
version.
All right, Jim, your turn here. Mr. Bojo, let me know
All right, ready and go.
who's Batman's sidekick?
Robin.
What weapon does Captain America use?
Shield.
Where was Leia a princess of?
Alderaan.
What kind of rays turn Banner into Hulk?
Gamma rays.
How many houses are there at Hogwarts?
5.
Who was the leader of the Smurfs?
Papa Smurf.
Who's CCO of DC Comics?
Jim Lee.
What can hurt Superman?
Kryptonite.
What's the first appearance of Spider-Man?
The AF-15.
Time.
All right. What was that, 7?
That was 8.
8?
And you got one wrong.
Wow, you did get one wrong.
Found me.
Yeah.
I
4 houses.
4 houses of
four
It was
Hogwarts.
4?
Yeah. All right.
I only watched it for Hermione, so come on.
Please tell me.
God.
Please tell me it was the later movies you're watching it for Hermione. Please tell me it was the later movies. Okay.
Oh boy. All right. Well, that was
I
actually
only
pretty.
watched it for Hermione.
Yeah. Please don't judge us.
That's going to be the title of this
Please
episode.
don't judge us just because of Jim.
I only watched
Edit
it
that
for
out.
Hermione.
Yeah. we probably should edit that out.
But we won't.
Oh man, that was awesome. I think that game went well. We do a much longer one that usually takes like 20 minutes. So we might switch to this format going forward.
That's much better.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Though.
Stressful, too.
Jim had his eyes closed the entire time, like they were
Yeah.
going to magically appear in front of him.
And I used my fingers to when I got through it.
Nice.
So Chris, we're gonna start saying our goodbyes here. But if you could just do us a favor, in reality, don't close off after we say goodbye. We just want to talk to you for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but all kidding aside, thank you so much for doing this. Me personally, when I met you at Rhode Island Comic Con, we stopped by your table.
Yeah.
I saw you had like that Master of the Universe stuff, and I think we just started talking for like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're just kind of like a kindred spirit, I guess, to us of in the comic world, and we enjoy talking to you. It's great to actually take this time outside of the convention scene, and we can have a civilized conversation. But yeah, it's great. We wish you nothing but future success and stuff like that. And, we'll do whatever we can to contribute to that. If you're doing more mystery boxes, let me know. Thundercats maybe next.
Yeah, you guys have been great and very supportive, so I thank all of you guys for that.
Can't wait to read Parker Reef.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm looking forward to that.
I appreciate it.
Nice. So, Chris, can you just let everybody know, all the listeners know, where they could find you on social media and stuff?
Social media is real simple. It's just Campana Art on Instagram, and the site is campanaart.org. I got off of Twitter because it's like a cesspool of nastiness. So
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
so
go ahead.
Instagram is best.
So what are the next appearances you're making this year too?
I'm at GalaxyCon in Richmond in 2 weeks, and then I'm at Heroes. My entire show schedule is up on campanaart.org.
Okay.
I'm excited about. I'll be at Dragon Con for the first time since 1997 or 98 this year, and be back in Baltimore and Rhode Island and New York and all that good stuff.
Good.
All right, awesome,
Nice.
man.
Very cool. Hopefully we can catch you at some of them.
Absolutely.
All right, Chris. Well, thanks again. We're gonna sign off here, but it's been great.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right. Thanks again to Chris Campana. Awesome interview today. One thing that he said that really stuck with me, I mentioned in, during the interview too, was the keep going until you get the yes or get off the line. I love that. It's like and it doesn't apply to just artists and comics. It's really anything, for us, this just kind of recently became our passion. We wanted to do something, we wanted to share. Whatever you're passionate about, like, you need to put everything in it. You need to jump in with both feet. And if you're not going to do that, if you're not going to apply yourself to the fullest, then kind of get off the line. Like, there's a lot of other people in there that, really want to do this stuff, like, are really passionate about it, and kind of either be that way or get out of the way kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I really love that. That really resonated with me.
That's cool.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
All right, for our next segment, we're going to go into our key hunt. Our first one going to go by Tess or me? I'll start. All right, so what my key hunt is, I'm looking for Aquaman #1.
Is that your main thing?
What's that?
Is that your main thing right now?
Yeah, I've been kind of persuaded to try to maybe get the full Aquaman run by our friend here, TC. So I may try
And
to
Star
do that.
Wars.
And Star
Yeah.
Wars. Star Wars, I think, would be a little bit easier.
It's very easy. There's only 2 big keys.
Yeah, and I have those.
Yeah.
Oh, in terms of, like, financially, yeah. I think
And also, like, easy to
Aquaman's
find.
only about 77 issues or something.
Yeah,
like
but
that,
there's some
though.
pretty big books in there. I mean,
There's-
#1 is...
The early ones are
There's
expensive, I
2 or
think.
3 that
Yeah.
are really big. The ones that I was actually randomly looking: Black Manta, Mara, and one. Other than that, they're
I have
not
the I have a
probably do
black
it.
easy.
I have a Black Manta.
Yeah.
It's not the greatest copy, but I have one.
Do you
It's
have
fine.
a Mara?
I don't. I don't. I had the opportunity to pick it up, but it just wasn't a good copy.
Yeah, I
and I
remember
wasn't going to
that.
spend the $200 for it. It wasn't good enough for me.
Yeah.
But I've been scoping out some #1s. I know one of my local. What? Nope. One of the local shops around here has a graded copy of Aquaman #1. 5.5. I'm still
Fine grade.
It's okay. But
What
I'm on the
year?
hunt.
What year did that come out?
62, 3. Yeah, we'll see.
All right.
Yeah.
What about you, Toy Story?
All right, I'm looking for a few things. Like you, I'm hunting for Amazing Spider-Mans. Always
Yes.
on the lookout. But like right now, I really want to get a 28, a nice copy for Molten Man. Yeah,
I have a surprisingly nice
Yeah,
one
because
of that.
with the black cover, it's so hard to get one that's not like dinged to hell.
You got one of those. I think I was with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my main Spider-Man book I'm looking for. In addition, also because of you, I'm looking for a Marvel Spotlight 32. First Spider-Woman. Yeah.
That's cool.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm looking for a Fantastic Four 48. I've wanted one for a while, just never gotten one.
Okay.
What's that one?
First Silver Surfer and Galactus.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Not the good time to be looking for those.
Not great, no. I should have years ago. But
Yeah.
And then an Action Comics 61, which is not a key, but it has one of my favorite Superman covers ever. It's him like covering a nuke that's about to go off.
Oh yeah, I've seen that
Yeah,
one.
I'm dying for a copy, but they barely appear on eBay or anywhere.
No.
Metropolis has like a garbage copy, and there's one 9.0 on eBay for like 10 grand, but I'm not doing that.
All right.
Yeah.
You'll
That's
get
about
there.
it.
You'll get it eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine aren't overly ambitious. Again, of course, Spider-Man stuff. Amazing Spider-Man, 20 away. I feel like if I really would have
You're not under
focused
20
on
away
this,
yet?
I think it's still 20. And maybe it's 19. I have to double check, but I at some point I really have to focus on this and stop being all over the place.
If those are
in my
the only
collecting.
books you buy until you're done, you could like.
Oh yeah,
it won't
totally.
take that
But
long.
I'm scatterbrained when it comes to collecting stuff, and I buy art and
Yeah.
other books and keys.
Gotta have it all.
But yeah, I'm like a Pokemon master here. Gotta catch them all. But yeah, mainly I've really wanted a Batman Beyond 1 newsstand edition 9.8, and the same thing for the Superman Batman Annual 4, which is the first Batman Beyond in continuity. The other one, Batman Beyond 1, is the first appearance overall.
Mhm.
They were reasonable for a while, and I just I didn't want to pay $100 or $150 a while ago, and now they're like in the $500 range, and I was just like, I don't really want those. And these the new thing I'm hearing all the time now is everyone's looking for these newsstand versions.
Yeah, I know.
Like they're the hot item. Again, another book I'm looking for is Spawn #9, First Angela. Just a book I've always liked. I like
Also
the way-
newsstand.
Yeah, again, newsstand. Yeah, I've always liked, and all of these I'd like to have in a graded 9.8. I mean, these are books like, Batman Beyond was so amazing because it was like I feel like it was a little ahead of its time in terms of a cartoon. Like
I just rewatched a lot of that recently.
Yeah.
It holds
Batman
up so well.
Adventures was amazing, and then
Yeah.
it picked up just as well with Batman Beyond. and I always liked that that storyline. And I just want to like display the books.
Yeah, I hear you.
So-
That's awesome.
Good
But
stuff.
yeah, that's what I'm on the hunt for.
I'm also looking for a lot of those EC horror books. I'm not looking for anything specific, but I just want to pick up any that I
Yeah.
find. I love those old covers.
And
The Wally
again,
Wood
like,
art.
just stuff that's like catching my eye.
Yeah.
I pick up too.
Good stuff.
All right, Jim, you want to do your pick of the week?
My pick of the week.
Yeah, JJ's gonna do a pick of this week.
Good stuff. So, it finally ended this month. I've been reading the Darth Vader, the Dark Vision.
Oh, spoilers! I haven't read any yet.
Oh,
Did you plan to?
I'm not.
Yes.
Yeah, it's. I'm not going to spoil too much of it.
Just a little.
Just a little. Yeah. Great series. I mean, it was 5 issues. They were all different stories. This last issue, I love the cover of it. A guy named Greg Smallwood did the cover, and it's a pretty cool looking cover. It's like
that's
Darth
nice. Yeah, I
Vader's
saw that.
head. There's 4 of them kind of next to each other, and it's got the skull underneath the helmet. So it's pretty cool. But this story here, it was another great story. I mean,
Who did the story and the art on that book?
the art was Gallardo Borges,
Who wrote it?
and the story was done by Dennis Hopeless Hollum.
His middle name is Hopeless.
Hopeless is his,
upsetting.
it's in parentheses.
It's his nickname.
But what I liked about this series was each story was different, and it just got better and better. One of my favorites, I think it was issue 3 or 4. There's this girl, who worked on the Death Star, and she was infatuated with Darth Vader. She would like steal, parts of his clothes to parts that he touched. She was like obsessed with him.
That's cool.
And she thought that she thought that she was his wife and everything else. And towards the end, it got to the point where she went into his chambers, and he was in that
the bank.
the
Back the tank.
yeah, well, not the tank,
The sphere.
the sphere
Yeah.
thing. And he had his helmet off, and
Yeah.
she's professing her love to him, and
Wow.
he just kind of stabs her with his lightsaber, and that's how it ended.
I love
But-
seeing like the humanity of characters that like are in the background in the movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's a really cool
And
anecdote.
I think
feel
a
like.
lot of that was that was a lot of the stories was in here. It was a lot of the the background
Yeah.
people.
I mean, that's how I felt with the clones in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
We never
Yeah.
got to like see anything with the clones that
See,
would
everyone
pass
has
battle.
stalkers, even Darth Vader.
Yeah. And the newest episode was cool. It's the newest issue was really cool. So I highly recommend.
So it's wrapped up now.
It's wrapped up.
Okay.
5 issues. It was pretty simple reads. Stories. Every single story was fantastic. The art was fantastic in all this. I can never talk bad about any of the Darth Vader series. I know a new one starts up next month, I think. I don't remember the name of it.
I mean, most of the Star Wars
but-
stuff they've been doing is just awesome.
I think specifically the Darth Vader stuff, it's just it's on the spot.
Yeah, I'm
just
gonna agree with you there.
unbelievable.
Did you hear that the main series now is getting closer and closer to Empire Strikes Back?
Yes,
storyline?
I knew that.
Yeah.
Yes. So we'll see with that. And
Yeah. I need to
just
go read those.
another little side. I didn't read it. I didn't even pick it up
They're
because
very good too.
What's that?
They're very good too. Sorry.
I know. I've heard. I
The
just
main-
haven't.
the main story.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love the main story. It's fantastic. What did drop last week was they did issue 108 from the original
I have that.
1977.
Oh, yeah,
I have that
picked
waiting
that
for
up.
me.
I didn't
Yeah.
buy it. I can't go backwards.
I'm a completionist. I need it.
It ended at 107. I have that copy. It was a limited print run.
Oh no, you have to get it because you have a full run. You're gonna get a full run of
Jeez.
Star Wars.
How do you? I don't know. It's
I got a
a
copy.
little annoyed that they restarted that back up. But
Yeah.
my pick of the week: Darth Vader, Dark Vision.
Nice. I'll have to
Pick
check
all
that
5
out.
up. It was really good.
Is it something you could read without reading any other stuff?
Oh yeah,
It's like a self-contained thing.
Each one is a separate story, so
Alright,
you
cool.
don't have to read the whole thing.
Awesome.
But you have to because it's Darth Vader. It's awesome.
Very cool.
All
Good
right,
stuff.
so I guess we'll do our announcements now. Nothing official that we're going to be appearing as in a professional capacity, I guess.
Yeah.
But we are doing Eternal Con. That is next weekend. What's the dates
Next
specifically on that?
Oh geez, next weekend.
Next weekend. Do you guys not know next weekend?
So that would be
21st, 22nd,
June-
23rd.
Yep.
Yes, that sounds correct.
Yep. And that's at the Nassau Coliseum.
Yep.
Here in Long Island.
No. You're right. I apologize. It is at Nassau Coliseum.
Yep.
And
And then you got 2 shows the weekend after.
Yeah,
Right?
so I'm planning on the 29th and 30th going out to Jersey.
Both days.
We'll see.
Oh,
If I don't think I'm gonna be able to do it in one day because of personal stuff going on.
Wait, there's 2 shows in the same weekend?
There's 2 shows.
Oh.
So there's a Garden State
Comic Fest.
Comic Fest, which I really know very little about it, except Alan Oppenheimer is going to be there, who was the voice of Skeletor. So I'm going to meet him
Have to do
because
it.
I feel like I have to. And then there's a it's like Walker Stalker / comic. I'm
Who's there?
terrible at that.
It's mostly Walking Dead people.
Yeah,
I
it's
think.
it's a Walker Stalker / like Fan Expo Con or something like that, New Jersey 2019. Again, I'm going mostly for Danielle Panabaker. She's the she plays Caitlin Snow / Killer Frost on Flash.
Hot.
One of the few shows, yes, she is very beautiful. One of the few shows that I'm still watching
Oh, is it still good?
or trying to catch up on. It's still better than the other ones. I'm gonna try to catch up with the other ones, but they're really not very good.
Yeah.
And I've always liked her character. I feel like she's one of the strongest ones on there. So I have this pretty cool Killer Frost bombshell. I like her sign the base. So
Nice.
I'm gonna
idea.
try to do both of those. If I can't do both, it's probably gonna be the second one that I'm gonna miss out on. I'm definitely not
Gotta
missing
meet
out
Skeletor.
on and definitely not missing out on meeting Skeletor. And
That's tough to do 2 shows in one day.
Yeah.
In one weekend, it's tough.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go.
Are they
back.
far away from each other?
I don't know. I haven't really done the research.
Because you
on
might
it
be
yet.
able to hit both.
I'm
if
gonna
you're just
I'm gonna
going
try.
for those
Like
one
I'm gonna
things.
try to run in and out. Like I'm not gonna look for books or anything like that. I'm trying to literally try to just.
You
go
know you'll
in.
get sidetracked.
I know. I might only go by myself and not allow anyone to come with me either. But yeah, those are kind of like the things that we're doing at least this month. I think July is gonna get busy, so let's not even get into that yet.
But we'll be at Terrificon.
Yes, we
in
will be
August.
at
Terrificon.
Terrificon in August. Yes, again, not in a professional capacity. There won't be no more professional appearances of Long Island Comic Guys this year. Just putting that disclaimer out there now. Next year, we're gonna kind of revamp things up and try to do a lot of shows, at least locally, maybe some in the tri-state area as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something we're looking forward to in the future. We need to get all our ducks in a row.
Oh, yeah.
But what about you guys? Any announcements that I missed out on?
I think that's it, right?
No, I think that's it.
We got some good interviews coming up. We're not going to say what yet, though.
Yep,
Yeah.
Yep.
Make sure you listen.
Yeah.
Again, we really appreciate everyone going on, subscribing, listening. If you leave a comment, that's huge for us. Please share. If you enjoyed this and you think other people would enjoy it as well, we're very active on social media. Facebook, Instagram, at LongIslandComicGuys.com, at LIComicGuys.com.
LI Comic Guys.
Yeah. And what's our handle on Twitter now?
Twitter's the same. LI Comic Guys.
Twitter as well. LI Comic Guys. And
Yep.
that's...
And even if you don't like it, please comment what we could do better.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Honestly, we would
We're
love
open to
some,
we're open
we
to
would
critique.
love some feedback on what we're doing good, what we're doing bad on, because
Yeah.
that's only how
Yeah,
we're.
good point, Jim.
Yeah, thanks. How we can grow better and
For you guys.
suit everybody's needs.
Yep.
Good
All
stuff.
right. Well, that's all we have for today. So remember, until next time...
Don't feed